brain is an organ and it malfunctions, and sometimes you go nuts, and you get stigmatized for it, which really sucks. Because because that just adds to the problem. Like if you you see somebody in a cast, and you're like, oh, what happened to your arm? And they'll tell you, oh, whatever, I fell down. But you talk to someone who's been like hospitalized for a few weeks, and they tell you, yeah, I had to go to the hospital. I had a nervous breakdown. I went crazy, shit my pants, threw my dog through a window. You're like, you want to be compassionate, but there's some part of you that's like, oh, now this is a crazy person. It's like, it's just something happened. The operating system temporarily crashed. And quite often, I think that could be a very good thing. I think that having your personality or your ego crash can often mean that you were trying to be somebody that you aren't. Seething sea of disappointment and anger and horror and sadness, that's where it's at, man. You got to go into that thing. And for some people, the only way they can go into that is by having a full-scale nervous breakdown, because then they can have permission to dive into that awful vortex of darkness, because underneath that vortex of darkness is paradise. Underneath that's love and happiness and joy and connection and tranquility and all that stuff. And everyone thinks that the way to get to that point is by avoiding this awful black forest that surrounds the Garden of Eden, which is inside everybody. It's inside everybody. It's there. It's there. But until you address the internal structures that you haven't acknowledged, you're always going to go back to that place where you find yourself morose and depressed and angry, and you don't know why. You'll always go back to that place until you sit with the sadness inside of you. You have